What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Kevin Ramos for the $10 donation via the Cash App. Much respect to him for showing love to Too Raw for TV. And he had a very good request as far as a hypothetical what if boxing classic. What if Oleksandr Usyk, all right, hope I pronounced that correctly. I be having problems saying his name sometimes. I think it's Oleksandr Usyk or Usyk. I think it's Usyk. But anyway, of course, Usyk coming off back-to-back victories against Tyson Fury. Impressive victories. And he's starting to rise up as far as one of the all-time great fighters. What if he went against the real deal, Evander Holyfield, one of the toughest sons of bitches ever to get into the boxing ring? But what if they fought each other at their absolute apex, which is the Cruiserweight division? Now, both men would be fighting. Now, so this is the thing. The Cruiserweight division now, the weight limit is under 200 pounds. When Holyfield fought, it was under 190 pounds. So let's just say they fight each other at 190 pounds. Okay. Usyk is 6'3". Holyfield's about 6'2.5". They both have a 78-inch reach. And Usyk is a southpaw. Holyfield is orthodox. Usyk is more of a technician, while Holyfield is the classic boxer puncher. For his career, Usyk is 24-0 with 15 knockouts. Holyfield went 44-10 with 29 knockouts. Now, some people are saying, "Oh man, you got 10 L's," but Holyfield did fight way past his prime. Like, if I recall correctly, Holyfield's last fight was 2007 when he was 44 years old. So, he started developing a lot of, accumulating, I should say, a lot of L's toward the end of his career. Plus, the guy never ducked anybody, really. No, he never ducked anybody. He fought killers, But anyway, at Cruiserweight, Usyk was unbelievable. At Cruiserweight, Usyk, I believe he went 16-0 with 12 KOs, and he held all 4 divisional titles, the WBO, WBA, WBC, and IBF. Holyfield had 2 fewer title defenses than Usyk at Cruiserweight, but he went 24-0 with 1 draw at Cruiserweight, right? And not only that, he had 2 quality victories over the now late Dwight Muhammad Qali at Cruiserweight. Matter of fact, Holyfield was so dominant at Cruiserweight and so confident that he was seeking to fight the baddest man on earth at that time, Mike Tyson. This is like 89, 90? And Tyson was considered the best fighter, pound for pound best fighter on the planet at that time. So, this is legit. So, who would win in a hypothetical matchup between these two? Well, I'll tell you one thing. This would be an all-out war. This would be fight of the year type situation. You know what I'm saying? Fight of the year situation. Definite fight of the year type candidate. And just like the other fight I talked about recently, what was that? I think it was Aaron Pryor and who was that? Aaron Pryor and was it Bud? Yeah, it might have been Bud. But anyway, this would be fight of the year category, and a lot of punches gonna be thrown, a lot of activity. It's a war. It's not gonna be one of those, they're going to take 2 minutes to fill each other out every round. Nah, this going to be action packed. Usyk, to me, is the superior fighter. Okay? Or I should say, the superior technician. Okay? Footwork, style. He's the superior technician. Holyfield, in my opinion, is the superior puncher. And Holyfield, if he can get inside, would have a distinct advantage. Because as great as Usyk is, as great as he is, he has one discernible weakness. And that is if somebody can get inside and tear up those ribs. If he can get to the body, if you could get to the body as a fighter on Usyk, you could score, and ultimately you could even win. And, if Holyfield can get inside and cause some damage, and, saying not just as far as body shots, but that would be key. But if Holyfield can get inside and score in general, then this fight would be very difficult, very, very difficult for Usyk in so many ways. But there's some things you got to look at, in my opinion. Like, I thought about, well, how does Holyfield fare against southpaws? And the main guy that popped up in my head was Michael Moore, who he infamously lost to in 1994. It's the first time they fought, So does that mean that Holyfield's destined to lose this fight because Usyk is southpaw? Not necessarily, but Holyfield has had trouble with those guys in the past, right? So that's a feather in the cap for Usyk. But then you got to look at the fact that, has Usyk ever fought anybody quite like Holyfield? And when I look at the dude that, what was it? I think was it the last guy he fought at Cruiserweight? Brandis? I'm talking about Usyk. I think his name was Maris Brightis or something like that, right? In some ways, stylistically, he's similar to Holyfield. And Brightis, if I got his name correct, gave Usyk problems. I tell you, man, these guys are their fucking names. But he gave Usyk some difficulty. So if you go by that logic, Holyfield should pose some problems for Usyk. So this is what I think is going to happen. I think earlier on, Usyk is going to come out and win some early rounds. I think Usyk's activity earlier on, I think he's going to be outworking Holyfield initially. And I can see him winning 3 of the first 4 rounds or something like that, right? Then I can see Holyfield starting to come back. I can see Holyfield's jab starting to make Usyk back up a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? I could see Holyfield starting to slowly turn things on in those little bursts of his. You know how Holyfield does. I could see him also stealing rounds in the last minute with flurries. Holyfield did those types of things, those psychological rallies that he would have that sometimes would sway the judge to vote for him for a round over the opponent, even if not everything is landing. So, it's just hard for me to root against Holyfield. At cruiserweight, it's hard for me to root against Holyfield. And I understand how great Usyk has been at that weight, but it's just hard to go against Evander Holyfield. I think people forget how dominant he was at cruiserweight. So I think ultimately, either Holyfield stops Usyk, unanimous decision, 12th round, or it's a unanimous decision victory for Holyfield or split decision victory for Holyfield after 12. I think Holyfield turns it on after losing 3 of the first 4 rounds. I think he then goes on to win something like 6 of the next 8 rounds. And, you know, I think he dominates after that, and then he gets the decision. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys see it differently. But it's hard for me to root against Holyfield, you know. And I know sometimes people can be prisoner of the moment, but I remember Holyfield in his prime. Holyfield, late 80s through the early 90s. I mean, keep in mind, when he beat Mike Tyson, he wasn't technically in his prime anymore. So that's how I look at it. Tell me what you guys think.